Talk it out. Talk it out. Talk it out. Talk it out. Talk it out.
Can't hear you yet.
Talk it out. Talk it out. It's time to talk it out. Are you ready? Are you ready to talk it out?
For some reason I can't hear you.
What?
Let me make sure.
Seriously?
Now I can now. You're good.
Oh, okay, good.
My fault. It's a config problem.
You scared me. What have I done? Are we live right now?
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live show. Are we broadcasting live on youtube.com?
Correct.
Excellent.
I'm about to post it on
Yeah, give me
Facebook,
the share link here.
Twitter.
Let's share this with people.
You'll see it on, if you look at my Facebook post, you'll see it.
Oh, we are live right now. Look at that.
Staying alive. We are alive.
We are live.
We are live. We are live. So maybe I should...
Well, hey, everybody.
Hey, we haven't
joining
officially
us.
started yet. This is pre-show. This is some
This
pre.
is so pre. This show is so pre. It's not even a show yet.
Nope.
Oh yeah. Podcast. All that.
Play a little music.
This is all that. Make sure it's not copyright protection.
I don't know if this will be.
Can't risk it.
Oh, okay. Let me
Originals only.
let's do some originals on here.
I started making a graphic for my brilliant idea for the Christian Variety Hour.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Bruce, you could be my you know, like Jimmy Fallon, how he has like that guy that like co-shows it?
You're talking about the co-hosts like Andy Richter and stuff like that?
Yeah. You want to be my co-host?
If I have the time, it might be hard.
When times seem to get
Where's Josh at? Josh is
We're just waiting on one more host.
Yeah, just excuse my teacher room.
It's a little loud, Bruce. Just a little. Just a smooch.
we can feel the way.
I know that's you, Bruce.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Sounds
original.
good, man.
Yeah.
He gives
Is this the official sponsor of the show?
My band.
and relief from the pain.
Hey.
Who could be loved more than the one who was slain? He is the Lord, strength, power, and love. Our God came to earth from heaven above. Hold on,
What up, Josh?
promise
Hey,
Oh,
how's
sweet.
it going?
I'm even sitting here. What's up, man?
I just snuck in like a kamikaze.
Josh, you know who you look like now with your haircut and your short beard?
Johnny
that?
Depp.
Kind of. No, but you look like Jimmy Needham. Have you seen Jimmy Needham lately?
Uh-uh.
You should look up a picture of him. You look just like him.
What's he in? Who is that?
Jimmy Needham? He's a Christian artist.
Oh, okay. Nah, maybe a little. Not really though.
Have you seen him like in
Oh, I
like
see
Jimmy
it.
Needham 2016?
I see it. Yeah, kind of. A
He
little bit.
lost a bunch of weight and he's like,
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, he looks just like him.
These days, if you say Christian artist has to be in quotations.
us all.
True.
relief from the pain.
I'm almost 30 pounds down, y'all. Feeling good.
Hell yeah, dude! I
Right
did.
on.
I did keto in the first 2 weeks of this month.
Well, I've been doing calorie deficit as well.
Nice.
Yes, Lord, say how to love.
Is this your church band?
Oh, God.
No, this was original stuff that I wrote with another band.
Nice.
Awesome.
So when are we gonna tour?
Yeah, when we going on tour, man.
That'd be fun, right?
You guys ready to start the show?
Yeah, I'm ready. If you guys are ready,
I was born ready, to be honest.
I'm ready.
I was born ready.
This is the Christian Pig Podcast Network. On air.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, like to welcome you to the very 6th episode. At least we think we're 6 episodes in. We kind of had a debate about this pre-show. We're not sure how many episodes we've had.
I'm
but
team 5 episodes.
Okay, so he's team 5. I'm team I don't really care. 6 episodes, 5 episodes, it doesn't matter. This is the Talk It Out podcast. My name is Tyler, and I'm broadcasting live from Scottsdale, Arizona. Welcome.
Once again, this is Bruce in the Seattle area, and I'm eating chicharrones.
Chicharrones. This is Justin, also from the Seattle area, basically in Bruce's garden.
You live in his garden?
Yeah.
He's alive for now.
That's great.
And
So he fucks me.
I'm Josh here in the Midwest, Des Moines, Iowa, home of Slipknot and Slipknotter.
Woo! Yeah.
You could just say Corey Taylor. That's okay.
You could just say corn.
You can just flat out lie.
The band corn or just actual corn?
There's a lot of corn there. So.
Oh,
just
like
actual,
they're from Bakersfield, but that's all right.
yeah. No, but there's actual corn there, so that's
They
cool.
do husk a lot of corn.
That's actually a myth. There is no corn here.
That's a shame.
myth.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame.
Okay, when you think of Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, what do you think of?
Cheese, baby.
Okay, there's not that much cheese. Our number one export is actually not even close to cheese. I'm pretty sure it's like soybeans.
Is it because they eat all the cheese and they just don't export it?
Is that why
guess.
there's so many?
Can I
fat
quote
people there?
Can we Google this? Can we find out what the actual number one export out of Wisconsin is? But no, seriously, I know it's not cheese. I know it's not even close. I know there's a lot of dairy products in Wisconsin. We do have a lot of farms with cows and whatnot. But
Yeah,
anyways,
we got a lot
Anyway.
of cheese from Oregon over here, so we don't know anything about the Wisconsin cheese.
hey, that's all right. Looks like we lost one of our co-hosts.
Oh, he'll be back.
He dropped.
Yeah, I think a large portion of the exports in Wisconsin are industrial machinery, according to this.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's not
Good for
surprising.
them. Good for
There's
them.
a new show on History Channel that I've been watching, Milwaukee Blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
History Channel's been on this
Is that
like,
accurate to
blacksmith.
the area of Milwaukee? Does it depict it well?
Yeah, it's very industrial. That's very absolutely correct. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
I didn't
been.
know
I've
that
never
shop
been.
was there, but it's also it tends to be pretty hipster, like, and that kind of goes along with the whole blacksmithing thing. So, anyways, Talk It Out podcast. We're glad you're here. We are a bunch of random dudes who are friends who like to talk about current events, and we decided, hey, why don't we broadcast our conversations over the internet and let you chime in on what we're saying. This is a living room conversation. This is a conversation for the masses. This is a live and interactive podcast. And if you're just joining us, you can join us in our chat room on YouTube. You can comment, you can call in, you can do all these sorts of things. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show where we'll have anybody who's interested come on and talk with us. And it should be pretty fun. So today we have a lot of exciting topics because we actually haven't recorded an episode in over 3 weeks. What gives, guys? What have you guys been up to that has prohibited us from recording in over 3 weeks?
Oh, I don't know. What have we been up to?
Well, for me,
Mostly
life.
work.
Life,
Life and
Yeah.
work.
I'm Christian Pig is kind of having a little breakthrough moment.
Christian Pig, what the heck is that?
Well, we've talked about it before, of course, but that's the
That's true.
website that I have. That's the podcast network that this is on. So I run that show, and we have our podcast, which is we're prepping for the next season. We're also building relationships with some people that we are going to be incorporating into episodes. So actually doing some good. It's not just going to be a podcast. It's going to be doing some stuff. So stay tuned for that. And then we had a viral clickbait blog.
Right.
This is
Viral.
balling. Yeah.
I
It's
like it.
technically, I looked it up, technically viral. I mean, basically we have about 100,000 people have seen our website this month.
I like it.
amazing.
That is
Pretty
amazing.
crazy. Yeah, which in through the grapevine helps this podcast. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
This is the left of center side of the network. So
Well, I'll take it.
yeah, I'll take it. I'll leave it too.
Does it help? I'll take it. That's great. What have you been up to, Mr. Josh? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I wasn't with you guys for the last 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Life has a way of happening when you have 5 kids. I don't know why exactly that is. I've tried to get rid of them. It's just not working. Not
5 kids and counting. Why don't you get a TV show?
Right. Yeah. What the heck?
Shut your harsh mouth. No, we would not do well on a TV show.
I think you
Not a
would.
lot of fun stuff happens. Well, there's utter destruction that happens. That's what happens.
That's drama, dude. That's
that's
what makes
good
TV.
The producers
That is
create
true.
the. You know.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, that's been, life, and we're still trying to get, things squared away at our house, and we just moved 4 months ago. So, yeah, crazy.
Moving
Wow.
takes
He's
forever.
He's using children as an excuse not to be on the obviously world famous podcast Talk It Out.
Yeah, I know. It's lame. I couldn't
Sad.
come up with anything cooler.
It's sad. It's sad. It's what it is. It's just sad.
It is sad. I know. My life is just
Oh well.
sad.
We still love you. We forgive you. We still
I appreciate it.
Anybody else want to talk about their week? Get it out, get the wiggles out, talk about what was going on. Me, I was just working. I didn't do anything else, man. I just work. That's all I do. Work. You know
When you're
that song.
feeling like a dirt.
Yep, that's it. Those are the lyrics.
I went out on a limb with you guys on that one, and you left me hanging.
Really, you just
That's all right. We
made
left you
yourself
hanging.
vulnerable, and we just drilled.
That's okay. Hey, that's fine. So what do we do on Talk It Out podcast? We have a couple different segments of the show. One of them is being the very first segment of the show, which is called Round It Out, where we go around and all 4 of us have exactly, and no more, no less, than 30 seconds to talk about individual topics. Following that, we go back and we talk about exactly what we don't want to talk about, whether that be something that we talked about during the Rounded Out section or something that we bring to the table where we decide what we want to talk about. And then following that is the best part of the show where we get to hear from you, the live and interactive audience, about exactly what you want to talk about. And the cool thing about that is most podcasts, as you're listening to them, you're like screaming at your stereo as you're driving down the street or listening to it before you go to sleep. And you think to yourself, man, I just want to chime in here. I just want to get what I want to say out. And now you can. You have the place for it right here at the Talk It Out podcast. I mean, how cool is that?
Really cool.
I agree. I think it is awesome.
Yeah, how cool is that? So our DJ extraordinaire, Mr. Bruce, had to step away for like 2 seconds, but that's all right. We have something major to talk about here. And I know you guys are somewhat sports fans, except for Josh, who hates sports. In fact, he said that if he ever hears about sports again, he might kill somebody.
Hey, want to talk about sports?
But real quickly, football in America is back. And no, we're not talking about that pansy kick a little ball on the grass around. We're talking about American football. We're talking about football Americana here. If you're listening from around the world, from our world famous podcast, we're talking about NFL National Football League. Mr. Justin, who's your team?
My team is my multiple fantasy football teams.
So he's a fantasy football guy. He hangs out with whoever gets him the most points. We call that a football whore. And that's all right. You can be one of those if you want. For me, I'm loyal. I like to stick to one. And my team, of course, is the world famous, world champions, number one best football team in the United States of America, the Green Bay Packers. You see, there's a rich history with the Green Bay Packers, and that's they started in a small town, which is still actually a small town in northern Wisconsin. And they grew to be the greatest team in the National Football League, and they forever will be the greatest team in the National Football League. And let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers is up there. I mean, he is up there in the ranks with Jesus. He's up there in the ranks with God.
It's pronounced Jesus. Jesus.
Jesus, sorry about that.
With
He's up there.
Martin Luther King.
I mean, you look at life
Abraham
from
Lincoln?
a perspective, and you think to yourself, who do I prioritize my life around? For me, it's very simple. You start with God, of course. Then you go to Aaron Rodgers. Then your family. Then your children. Then your dog. Then your cat. Then your finances. You know, it just goes down the list. But my point is Aaron Rodgers is up there such a high pedestal that I walk around and I just do the championship belt, around my waist everywhere I go. Because after
If the NFL gave out belts instead of trophies and rings.
yeah, I mean, come on, it's the original dabbing. Before Cam Newton ever got drafted by the NFL, Aaron Rodgers was out there doing the WWE championship belt.
Count double check.
Discount double check. Yeah, it's fantastic. So we're just talking about football. Welcome back to our DJ extraordinaire co-host, Mr. Bruce. We're glad you're back. We missed you.
Had to step out for a second.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, you know what? It just derailed the entire show, and I had to talk about bullshit for 30 minutes, but that's okay. That's okay.
It could be a lot
That's all
worse.
right.
Wait. You talked about Jesus, God, and Aaron Rodgers.
None of which are bullshit, but the fact that I was talking about it on the fly was complete bullshit. I just made that up.
All right. I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to get to our favorite part of the show. We're going to move on with the show now. If you're listening for the first time, this normally does not happen, but if you don't like it, you can blame it on Bruce. Welcome to the Rounded Out.
Rounded out. Rounded out.
So as discussed before, this is a current events podcast where we round it out, talk it out, and blab about anything we want to blab about. And the best part is you get to join the conversation. So Rounded Out podcast, here we go. We're going to start with our first topic. Each one of us has exactly 30 seconds to talk about it. And we're going to go in order here. We're going to start with, Mr. Bruce, move on to Justin, then Josh, and then back to me. And we're each going to have 30 seconds to talk about a current event, a topic, something that's going on in the world today. And this should be fun. So let's get started here with our first topic, which is, of course, something that is very serious, and that is terrorism. We have some events that just occurred on U.S. soil here. We've got a guy who went around and he had a bunch of pressure cooker bombs. Thankfully, only one went off and two went off and nobody got hurt. They got hurt, but nobody got killed. So 29 people were injured. We're going to go to this first article here. This is from CNN.com, and it's talking about the New York explosions where 29 people were injured after this subject who will not be named on this podcast because we don't want to glorify, if you will, this situation. This person who went off and decided he was going to plant a bunch of pressure cooker bombs. And long story short, he went through and hurt a lot of people. And then at the same night that this was all going on, so we have one bomb that went off in New Jersey and one that went off in New York City, the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan. We had someone else who decided they were going to go into a mall in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis, and start stabbing people in a mall and claim that he was a part of ISIS, and a couple were injured there. Now, thankfully, nobody lost their lives in these blatant terror attacks, but it's very serious, and we wanted to get everyone's thoughts going around, and we're going to switch up the order here a little bit to buy some time, and we're going to start with Mr. Josh. It'll be your turn first with 30 seconds to talk about terrorism, your thoughts on it, and, what's the deal with all this going on? I mean, we're glad nobody got hurt, but what are your thoughts on it? Terrorism, 30 seconds to start. Mr. Josh, your time begins now.
All right. So first and foremost, the thing you got to understand is terrorism. To be a terrorist, it's very simple. You just got to scare the shit out of people. That's all you have to do. And that's all that happened here. All terrorists want to do is make it so that you are afraid to leave your house. And that's exactly what's happening right now. They don't even have to work hard at it anymore. So what we need to do to fight terrorism is to just not be afraid and, try to be safe. Do everything you can, but still go about your day to day.
30 seconds is up. Thank you very much.
So, bam.
Good thoughts on terrorism. Mr. Justin, you have 30 seconds to talk about terrorism, how it impacts our life, what you think is going on. And we're going to start that right about now.
Whew. Terrorism. Deep, heavy. What can you say? Hearts and prayers go out to the victims affected, their family, everyone involved. And really, it's just a tough time. I do agree with Josh. We cannot let this scare us. But I think these are always opportunities to come together and try to oppose those who try to spread fear.
30 seconds is up. Good job. And we're going to go to Mr. Bruce. What we're talking about right now is terrorism. We've got the Minneapolis attacks. We've got the New York attacks. More and more every day. We've got a lot of things going on domestically, but we want to hear about foreign affairs, terrorism, what's happening on our homeland. Is this something we should be worried about? Mr. Bruce, you can take it any direction you want. 30 seconds. Your time begins now.
No, we shouldn't be worried. The only thing that will stop terrorism is to move on with your life. It's not a risk. It's a very small chance that it would be a problem. Just be smart and live your life. Don't let terrorism cripple your social life.
Wow. 16 seconds. That's all it took for him to make his point here. Nice job, Mr. Bruce. 30 seconds for me. Terrorism conversation for me begins now. So let's talk about everything that's going on in our nation right now. I actually think that, believe it or not, terrorism or these attacks, because they didn't kill anybody, yes, it was terrible that people got hurt, but I think this is kind of a good thing. Why? Because after 9/11, it brought everyone together. It brought everyone together, and I'm hoping that with everything that's going on in our nation, with the race and equality issues that we're facing, I'm hoping that this terrible, terrible thing will turn into something great. 30 seconds is over, and we're going to move on to our next topic. Mr. Bruce, you can play that bumper. Okay, so next rounded out topic we have is coming from CNN.com, and we're talking about everyone's favorite Lego My Eggo. Eggo waffles, that's right. Eggo waffles. You ate them in the mornings as a kid. You might eat them today. Josh, you got 5 kids. Do you let your kids have Eggos?
Every now and then.
Okay, so every now and then, either way, Eggo waffles are popular. And guess what? That's right. They've been recalled. Eggo waffles have been recalled. At least 10,000 cases of Eggo Nutrigrain, which whole wheat, which is the healthy version, which I'd be surprised if anybody even bought these, but at least 10,000 cases of Eggo. I mean, it's kind of like going to McDonald's and ordering a salad or something.
Like a Diet Coke.
What's the point? Anyways, So Eggo waffles, 10,000 cases of Nutrigrain Eggo waffles. This is from CNN.com. Voluntarily recalled in 25 states because they could be contaminated, with the bacteria Listeria, Kellogg Company announced Monday on its website. So the Michigan company says it's received no reports of illness and learned of the potential problem after routine tests. No other Eggo products are affected by this recall. So now, this seems like a pretty dull subject. Yeah, there's not really much to say about it. But my question is what are we doing about food safety in the United States? You've got OSHA, these massive government, entities that are coming in, and they're apparently trying to make food better. But more and more, we're hearing about how food is is contaminated. We had the Chipotle scare a year or two ago. We had all these sort of things coming out with E. coli, salmonella, things like that. What are we doing in America for food safety? Is America the safest country for food? I mean, it kind of feels like when I travel abroad, it's a little scarier to eat some of the food. We have so many laws about what kind of food you can bring in and things like that. To be honest, we have tougher food laws than we do immigration laws, than we do things like that. So let's not get into that, but let's get into the food part of it. I want to know what you guys feel about food in America and junk food and all that kind of stuff and how safe it is. Are we really that safe? Are we not? 30 seconds. Mr. Josh, we're going to start with you again, and we want to hear your thoughts on food safety in America. Eggo waffles, if you just want to talk about the waffles, it doesn't matter to me. Your 30 seconds to do whatever the heck you want to do with it starts right now.
You've got me triggered because I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to food health in America. First of all, I think that all companies care about for who are providing these foods is the bottom dollar, how they can make the cheapest product and save the most money for themselves. So they don't really care about your safety. They really just care about getting a product out there and making some money. So of course they're going to have cut some corners, and of course people are going to end up getting sick, and they're going to weigh out what's going to they're going to pay out in lawsuits compared to what they're going to lose if they have to recall the product. So if they have to recall
30
the product,
seconds is up. Thank you very much.
It's bad.
30 seconds is up. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Mr. Bruce, let's go to you this time. 30 seconds on food safety in America. Eggo waffles. Is this the start of a revolution? Your thoughts. 30 seconds. 30 seconds begins now.
Yeah, I think that Josh's pretty close to it. They don't care about our safety. The FDA and most government organizations supposed to care about your safety. We all know how well government works. So things are going to slip through the cracks. It's the nature of the beast. Eggos suck anyway. So there you go.
Wow, 20 seconds.
Whoa.
20 seconds to be the most unpopular guy on this podcast. Bruce, you do it well. You do it well.
We just lost that sponsor, y'all.
There goes that. Jeez Louise. Don't worry. We'll get the sponsors in a little bit when we talk about Kaepernick. Justin Hartford, my man. J-Town, Jay Hartford. Let us know. 30 seconds on food safety. Is America crazy? Are Eggos great or what? Let me hear it. Starts now.
Of course, Eggos are great, but no, they're not great for you. I hate to be a broken record. Of course, these things just care about money, but they're probably recalled. I mean, another conspiracy theorist. I'm triggered as well. I think that perhaps Eggo, dropped their lobby or something. They must have done something to some politician, piss them off. Now they got recalled.
Yeah.
And America's fat. So
30 seconds is up. Nice job. America's fat. That's your thoughts on it. Let's go 30 seconds with food safety with me. It'll start now. Eggo waffles. I never really ate them, to be honest. I could care less. My 30 seconds is up already. I don't care. Next. All right, 30 seconds. Here we go. We're going to talk about something that is realistic, something that has an impact on our lives, something like national football, baby. This is the NFL. No, I'm just kidding. But Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick, we all know what happened. The dude took a knee in the national anthem, and he continues to take knees in the national anthem. He almost got dropped by the San Francisco 49ers for taking a knee in the national anthem. Now, they'll say that that wasn't the cause, but we all know it kind of is. I want to hear your thoughts on the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. If you don't know what we're talking about, you live under a rock, go to CNN.com, and you can read all about it. Colin Kaepernick. We're going to start with Mr. Bruce this time. Let's hear your thoughts on the whole Kaepernick situation. You got 30 seconds. Make it good. Make it count. And don't take a knee for it. 30 seconds. Here we go.
I'm cool with him taking a knee. I got no problems with it. I don't believe in forced patriotism. I don't believe in forced nationalism. Forced nationalism and making people feel bad for not loving their country is the beginning of Nazism. Done.
Wow, 10 seconds. That's all it took for him to say that he hates America. All right, 30 seconds. 30 seconds for Mr. Justin. Your time, Mr. Justin. 30 seconds on Kaepernick. Starts now.
There's so much to talk about. One, kind of boring of a thing. Let's get mad at someone simply because of how they're how they're positioned during a song. Silly, kind of silly. But quick prediction: I think that there's going to be some sweeping changes that happen because of this. I think that there's going to be full teams following suit. I think there's going to be an exposure of suddenly a lot of people are doing this simply because of a backup quarterback decided to do it.
30 seconds is over. Mr. Josh, 30 seconds to talk about Colin Kaepernick, who took a knee during the national anthem of the United States of America. 30 seconds begins now.
Yeah, I also don't agree with forced patriotism. I think that that's not a good thing. Also, I just really want to clarify that, this guy is putting on his neck out on the line to make a point. And he could lose a lot of money in doing so. So, I mean, you have to at least give him conviction. Yeah, he has. And so also, people freak out when people put the flag upside down, but that's a sign of distress. I think he's calling out for distress, saying, my people are hurting. Let's do something about it. And he's also giving a lot of money to
30
charity.
seconds is up. 30 seconds is up. My turn, 30 seconds to begin now. Why does everybody care? I mean, really, let's get down to the root of it here. Why do they care? What does it matter to them whether the guy takes the knee or not? And I understand that they see it as disrespectful or they see it as whatever, but I mean, really, people, really? You really care that much that the dude takes a knee? I mean, do I agree with it? I don't really care that much. But I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. I don't think it's that big of an issue, and I think we're blowing it out of proportion like Americans typically do. 30 seconds for me is up, and we're going to move on to our next topic here, which is everybody's favorite, the iPhone. Apple released another iPhone. They also released the newest version of their operating system, iOS 10, as well as the Apple Watch has some news. So this is Apple Watch Edition 2, or the second edition Apple Watch. And some whole new things every year or every other year. Apple gets together and they release these few things. And here's the thing with the iPhone is this time around it doesn't have the headphone jack. The 3.5 millimeter headphone jack does not exist on this anymore. So I want to get everybody's thoughts about the iPhone. And just to be clear, some factual points here. This is one of the best-selling iPhones of all time. Okay. This is one of the most unanticipated iPhones. So not a lot of people thought this was going to be a very popular one, but somehow, some way, it has surpassed all of their records in selling. And most people are attributing that to the camera or to the hype. Is Apple in general, are they an over-exaggerated, hyped up company for no apparent reason, or are they actually a really great company that makes really great products? It's up to you to decide. We're going to talk about Apple products here, especially the iPhone 7. It's up to you to decide. 30 seconds. Mr. Justin, gather your thoughts because you've got 30 seconds to talk about it right now.
I'm going to go right off the bat and say that they are a brilliant company. And I thought the timing of this whole thing was perfect. I think that the technology sector of America needed some controversy. So I think the headphone jack was well-timed and perfect. And I think is ultimately leading to the sales, not because people didn't want a headphone jack, but the discussion stimulates for people who support Apple to continue supporting them. And I think that the deal with Nintendo was maybe the biggest
30 seconds
deal
is
that
up.
we've seen
Nice
ever.
job. Shut up. 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, 30 seconds for Mr. Josh. Let's talk about Apple. Let's talk about the headphone jack. Let's talk about how this is one of the biggest selling iPhones of all time. Let's hear your thoughts. 30 seconds starts now.
I'm actually a little surprised that it's the best selling with all the bad hype you hear about it on Facebook and whatnot, but I'm also not surprised because, I mean, you get to the point where you get so good at as a company that you get all that hype out there. Eventually, you could just start selling rocks, and people are going to buy them because you're the name, that's the brand, and you got what you got. But I like cordless headphones. It's not a problem for me. I mean, if they're offering those out there, there's some cool things with the cordless headphones that they're coming out with. So I'm not a hater.
Is up, Mr. Bruce. Now I know you, Bruce, tend to be a anti-establishment type of person. So let's hear what you got to say about the iPhone. I'm really interested in this one, to be honest. Folks, if you're just listening to Talk It Out podcast for the very first time, I want you to stop. I want you to stop right here. I need you to go take a bathroom break. I need you to go do what you got to do and just wait. I need you to just wait and listen, pause it, come back, and give your full attention to this segment right here. 30 seconds from the man himself, Mr. Bruce.
The lack of
Apple
The
product.
lack of a headphone jack is egregious and ridiculous. It's a standard option.
Oh,
It's
come on.
It's like getting into a car and you need certain types of pants to roll the windows down. It's absolutely insane. It's a standard it's a standard interface that has not been deprecated. Who are they? And there's already issues. Taking a call while listening to music already bugs out right away. Out of the box, there's issues. So it's a joke, and there's only have 30 seconds. I'm only going to go that far on the hot
30
button topic.
seconds is up. Good God. Wow. He ruined my life. Okay, 30 seconds. 30 seconds for me, the host, one of the hosts, I should say, starts now. I got to tell you, I own all of my electronics are Apple, except for my work computer, which is a EliteBook Intel Windows 7. But let me tell you something. Apple knows what they're doing. They're not stupid. This whole headphone jack thing, people will get over it. Come 2 years from now, people are going to forget it even happened. Nobody's going to care. Everybody moves on with the trends. It's a trendy thing. It's the way it goes. Apple's not dumb. They're going to continue to make money anyways. Move on with your lives and get over it. 30 seconds is up for me. Wow, that's it, guys. Can you believe we already made it through the rounded out section already? Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about, like about the rounded out stuff that you really wanted to get off your chest before we move on?
The Apple thing, I don't want to dwell on because I don't want to give them the time of day. They're already getting enough.
Oh God!
And it really, it's like a non-issue. Considering every other issue we have to worry about. It's the same, in the group we're part of. When I was flamed for saying this is a silly thing to talk about. I just, I don't like giving things more time than they need. And so this goes for things beyond Apple too. This is like a philosophy sort of thing. But
this coming from the host of a podcast who gives a lot of time for things we really don't need.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm roasted. I would say that
That's
I
the point
agree.
of the show, though. It's the point of the show, though.
The thought popped up
Right.
in my head. I was like, man, I feel more heated about an iPhone than I did about the terrorism part.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
That's awful.
It's a real problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's awful.
That's a
and
good point.
real.
That's a
I'm
great
being
point.
I hear
serious.
you on that.
No, seriously, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, can we get heated about other issues in your state or in your country? But you know what? It doesn't get the coverage. You know what I mean? And that's part of the problem. You can only know what you know, considering the day, and you can decide whether or not it's worth your time to research something. And the Apple device thing directly affects people's lives on a daily basis, and they're somewhat interested. So, they're not going to research pipeline issues or embargoes or budgetary issues at the state level. It's not attractive.
Yeah, that's
But what they
insane.
are going to do is be like, well, I saw a meme on Facebook and it said this, so I believe it.
And of course, they're Southern.
That's what they're.
But
That's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
they are always.
No, they're not Southern. They're little Valley girls that I just saw like this
Oh my God.
this thing that kind of just agreed with what I thought with no research.
Yep.
It has to do.
I'm
It
gonna
has
vote
to
for
do
that.
with simplicity. It's easy to understand that an iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack. It's easy to understand
Yeah.
that. It's not easy to get off your ass and help people or care about the more nuanced situations, like foreign policy. It's not as easy to understand and grasp those things to people who are filling their lives with things that are meaningless because it's easy. And
Right.
and also, like I was saying in my rounded out segment, having to do with the iPhone, I think that companies like Apple, they're really, when it comes down to it, like marketing geniuses. They know how to appeal to the masses. They know how to make you care more about a phone than you care about people dying in a terrorist attack, and people just eat it up.
Just to give some perspective, it's not the most popular device in the rest of the world. It's the most popular device in the U.S. Places like Europe have a large audience that is skeptical, and they also don't stand for any sort of forced technologies there. So they have pretty big stances on keeping things open and fair. Not to say that I agree with so much legislation, but in this country, we're very prone to following trends, more so, and I think that's a big reason why Apple does so well. And marketing at a certain point is no longer matters in their case. It's I'd say about 3 years ago, it no longer mattered in their case. They have plenty of once they got to Verizon with their device, that was probably it. They have plenty of market at that point, and I think now to gain new people is hard. So and I don't see you gaining Android users or Windows Phone users by removing a crucial feature like that. You could say everything else in the world, but the only people that are going to keep use it are the people that exist already. Maybe that doesn't matter because the user base is so large. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're courageous for doing such things. It's absolutely insane.
Of course not.
Courageous.
Realistically, though, do you really think? I mean, just on a logistical level, do you really think that the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack was ready to go?
No, it's
or
not.
Do you think it should?
It's not ready to go. It's so ingrained. I mean, there's no reason for that other than waterproof ability. But the jack is the port is there. So if they wanted, I would have commended them for saying no jack at all. You're using wireless charging and wireless devices, period. That would have been courageous.
Yeah,
that would have made sense to me.
I agree with that.
That would have been pushing the envelope. This is just a little pot shot, and it's like, okay. It's silly. If the biggest problem I have, if we're going to go on the technology route here, is if that translates to other devices. In my case, the MacBook Pro. If they're going to say, we're removing the headphone jack there, why not remove it other places? Right? Because it's deprecated. You could just use a USB or Lightning. And the other thing that's silly is the MacBook that came out, which is the small netbook type thing, has USB-C. But there's still fragmentation in their line with Lightning and Thunderbolt. So since you control the hardware in Apple's world, they're not like Windows, who has basically they're stuck at the whims of hardware manufacturers. In the Apple world, they control the hardware. So if they're going to put a one size fits all port on a device, then you should keep it in line with the other devices you have, because you have the ability to do that. So you should have went with USB-C, or you should have not put the USB-C on the MacBook. You know what I mean? Those sorts of things are oversights, if you ask me, for a company that has so much control. And also for a company that has what everyone else says, the Jesus mentality. They could walk on water, basically. So, that's how I feel about them.
Interesting. Let's you guys have any other thoughts real quick before we move on?
No.
Cool. I want to get into these stories here because there's some really interesting stuff going on. I want to hear Mr. Justin. I want to hear your individual story first. Let's talk about what you got going on.
All right. So we did a little bit of talking about fantasy football earlier as we were delaying, but I got some numbers to do with fantasy football. Yeah, because I think it's interesting. I like to think about people. You've revealed here before that I do have a history of marketing, and I love to evaluate numbers and think about all the people that are consuming things mindlessly at the whims of all these major corporations controlling everyone. So when it comes to fantasy football, I play fantasy football. I am in 1, 2, 3 leagues, Josh.
Wow.
I'm in
3?
leagues. Yes. So I can't just bash on people. I am drinking of the Kool-Aid, but I enjoy it. It caters to the way that I watch football. It's perfect. I don't put too much time into it. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't spend any money on it, really. And it's a fun thing to do at church, update my fantasy team. You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you.
That was a joke for the people coming over from the Christian Pig website. So I like to talk a little bit of numbers. Numbers at a glance with fantasy football. You would not believe, Josh, if you had to take a guess of the percentage male to female ratio in the 2015 fantasy football usage, what would you say? Let's say this, because the obvious one would be males would be the dominant one, I think
Right.
is obvious. What percentage of fantasy football users do you think is female?
I feel like that's a trick question because I would automatically want to say it's like 99 to 1%. But in the fantasy football league I was involved in last year, a lot of the husbands forced their wives to jump in basically so
That's
that they could,
interesting.
it was basically so that they could get 2 fantasy football leagues because they told their wives what to pick and all that stuff. So anyway,
Ooh, that's smart. I should try that out.
I got some pro tips for you for someone who doesn't like sports. I'm going to say 80-20.
Not too bad. It's actually 34% female.
Oh,
Crazy. Average
Wow.
age is 39 years of age, or 38.6. 66% of all fantasy football users have a college degree. The 51% of fantasy football users have a household income of $75,000 or larger. How
wow.
about that?
That's shocking.
Yeah, I that was pretty shocking to me. Full time. This is interesting to when you weigh that against the previous statistic, but the percentage of fantasy football users that have full time employment, 67%. Very interesting. And average annual spending per fantasy player. This seems interesting. Actually, I believe it, and I think I can tell you why. But $556. That seems like a lot, but I think that's weighted for just pay leagues. That's not including free leagues.
Mhm.
And
So you're
that's-
saying people pay that much money a year to be in the leagues or to contribute?
That's including some of these newer leagues like DraftKings, where you pay as you go, kind of thing. You pay with credits.
Yeah.
Um,
It's online gambling,
And-
basically.
yeah, all of the fantasy ones, they say about 70% of them are pay leagues.
Right.
Pretty crazy. And there's about the estimated usage for 2016 is 57.4 million people.
So we're basically
Fantasy football.
gambling, but it's under the guise of fantasy football.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it like this. It's like Pokemon Go for meatheads.
Well, it's been around forever. It's been around before the internet. It was on paper and pencil for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The reason why I can't do it is because I'm a homer and I can't root for anyone playing against my team or for another team ever. There's no way I could do that. I'm sorry. And I know there are other people that can put it aside, or they think they're some sort of analyst and they're like aspiring to be Chris Berman or something. I don't know. But for me, if I'm watching the Giants, which I'm a Giants fan, and I can't be wishing Aaron Rodgers to get some more passes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially since he's in the NFC. I
I
can't do
agree
that.
with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for me, obviously, as most people know now, I'm not a huge sports buff. So last year I played fantasy football for the first time, and I was the dude that was like, oh, statistics says this guy's going to win this game, so I'm just going to pick him.
Right.
And yeah, that hardly ever worked out. And then near the end, I started trying to get a little more fancy with it, and it just never worked out for me. Of course, I got last place, so
There's that. Yeah.
there is that.
So there's
Last time I played, I just picked all Giants and got last place too.
Too funny.
Well,
So we heard from Justin. Is there anything else you wanted to add regarding your fantasy football wet dreams?
well, that's what I got. I was mainly, for those of us that were on the call, I was mainly talking about the statistics of what it was. And I think that's all about. I see if there's anything else scanning over it that was mind-boggling to me. The one you guys missed was that 34% of fantasy football users are female.
Yeah.
34%. That's higher than I thought.
What,
I said
what would
20.
you think? You said 20?
Yeah, you
I
thought
did.
20. I thought like 15%, 10 to 15%. I thought sounded reasonable. So that was a big number. I thought.
To be honest, it's not that surprising. I kind of engaged on a website for the first time in a long time in a chat regarding the Packers-Vikings game last night. And I kind of engaged in a little conversation, and 5 out of the 11 or so people who commented on my comment were female. So, I mean, I guess that does make sense. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's interesting for sure. I would venture to say, well, see, whenever surveys are done like that, it's hard to see them for what they are. But also, I would think quite a few of them are there just because they're fillers, and the same for men too. I think a lot of people just join because it's fun thing, at least seemingly fun, and then it's all they need more people. That's the way I would see it. But there could be that many women interested in fantasy football, sure. But
Sure, why not?
if I were to throw a dart and hit a woman in my town, I would say she would not play fantasy football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
And Bruce does commonly throw darts and hit women in his town, so this isn't.
Yeah, I have a whole dart set up.
This is great. So I want to get into the next story to keep things moving here. Mr. Josh, let's hear from you a little bit about what you want to talk about today on Talking About Podcast.
Josh requested a little bit of mood music, so I'm gonna.
I did.
Oh, I like it. I like
Okay.
it.
I like it.
Here we go. All right. Anybody listening with small children, have them close their ears or walk away from the radio. 'Cause here we go.
Shit.
Oh no.
We're getting dirty, y'all. So here we go. In the Galapagos Islands, we have a tortoise. And this tortoise name is and will ever be infamous as Diego. Diego is a over 100-year-old tortoise who has single-handedly brought back the population of the Galapagos tortoises. I apologize. So here we go. A century-old, extremely sexually active, giant-footed tortoise has single-handedly brought this species back from the brink of extinction. 50 years ago, there were only 14 members of these Galapagos tortoises in Española, an island of the Galapagos Islands. 12 females and 2 males, but they didn't need the other guy. Since 1976, Diego has fathered more than 800, 2 of every 5 hooded tortoises in existence, according to genetic testing. He's a very sexually active male reproducer. He's contributed enormously to repopulating the island. Washington Tapia, a tortoise preservation specialist at Galapagos National Park, told Agence France Presse. We have a Galapagos tortoise who is a PIMP pimp. You guys kidding me?
Does the saying slow and steady wins the race apply here? or-
Man. So I read another article where it says that the female tortoise is quiet during intercourse and the male tortoise sounds much like a mooing cow. And I can attest to this because when I was 9 years old, I went to the zoo and I watched 2 tortoises mating, and it was exactly that. The head went into the shell, and as it came out slowly, it was. It was beautiful.
That is interesting.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. That's
800 guys. 800.
That's crazy town.
I read another article where it said it
What
was
else you
like
got to do all day as a turtle? Like, what do you got to do? You know what I'm saying? You're not.
Well,
it's not gonna
obviously
balance-
the other guy's not doing jack squat because this guy comes in and just like, I'm banging your girl. I don't think they have
It's a Genghis Khan of amphibians.
dominion over their I don't think they have dominion over their mates.
I like to think they do. But the other thing is that I read another piece where it said that that his children attributes to 40% of the entire population of
So
the
it's
Galapagos
Kind
tortoises.
of like a lot of the guys in the NBA. That was wrong. Sorry, the NFL too.
That is
Tyler's our hype man.
ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Sorry,
Is
that was
there any other-
it's too easy.
Any other thoughts on that, folks, before we move on from that ridiculously sexual story?
That was an awesome segment. I'm so happy about that.
I
I
think
like
I
all
saw,
men.
I'm so happy to read it.
I saw that, but I thought it was fake. So I'm interested. That's pretty cool that it's real.
No, that was Washington Post right there, and I am so
I thought that
happy
was
to
The
know.
Onion.
That's great. Yeah,
Oh,
that
it
definitely
was.
sounds
I'm
like
sorry. No, I'm just. No, it was not. It was Washington Post. And Diego, you're the man. This beer,
crazy.
Diego, is for you.
Diego.
My
All
name is
right, let's move on.
That's
move on.
hilarious. And
This is too much for me.
yeah.
Way too much for me. Moving on.
Cold shower time, guys.
This is going to be a good one. Fasten your seatbelts. Fasten your seatbelts here. This is going to be a good one because we're about to have a debate on our hands.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh no.
We're about to decide whether or not Bruce really believes in America or not.
First
Okay,
of all,
so
I believe in it because it
no.
exists.
No. You don't get to speak yet.
But you just
wait till your rebuttal. Wait till your
You
rebuttal.
can't believe it. Not believe it does exist.
Listen. Wait till your rebuttal. Okay.
Okay.
I work for an airline, a major legacy U.S. airline, and I am very not sensitive. I guess I empathize easily with the events of September 11th, 2001, and I don't like to glorify them. That's kind of my thing. Like I don't like to talk about it that much because I think it glorifies it. It makes it seem as if it's something we should. I don't know how to say it other than it glorifies it. It edifies it, and it makes it bigger than it should be in my world. So a lot of terrible things happened that day. We understand that.
Mhm.
In 2012, some articles from the United States government were declassified that said something very disturbing. And that was this. The fighter jets, the F-16 pilots that were scrambled out of Langley Air Force Base to intercept United 93. Now, keep in mind, there was a lot of confusion that went on that day. And like I said, we won't get into all the details. You can watch, there's a couple documentaries on this and a lot of things that you can read about on the internet if you want to get into all the facts here. But the F-16 fighter jets that were scrambled, it was declassified that because we were in a peacetime, the Cold War was over. Desert Storm had wound down a few years prior to this, and there really wasn't any threats to the United States other than just your typical terrorist threats going on. Now, you can argue that all day long about whether or not the government knew about 9/11 before it happened and all this kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that today. But what we are going to get into is the fact that these F-16 fighter jets that were scrambled, they were scrambled on such a short notice and with such little information that they didn't even have weapons on board their aircraft. And their orders were to take down this aircraft, United 93. Now, what they didn't know at the time was that by the time that they had scrambled that United 93, the one that crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, because of the heroic acts of the passengers on board that flight. The one that crashed there had already crashed by the time that they scrambled. Now, of course, they had no idea of this at the time. But they left and they scrambled their fighter jets, and they had no weapons on their fighter jets because this was a peacetime. And what that meant was that no weapons were readily available, as in they were loaded on the aircraft. They would have had to have been loaded on for something to happen. Now, a lot of people have a hard time believing that because it's the United States Air Force. You would think they would have weapons loaded on or, whatever. But long story short, here's this story when it came out in 2012 from NBC News. And it says F-16 pilots planned to ram United Flight 93. That means that because they had no weapons, the only option was to take their aircraft and ram it into them. They interviewed this pilot who said, the only option was to hit the tail. And if they would have rammed their aircraft into the tail, they could think about, oh, well, if I were to eject, I guess it would save my life, but what if I missed? So this thing goes down and it says when the pilots of the 121st Fighter Squadron of the DC Air National Guard got the order to intercept Flight 93, the hijacked jet speeding towards the nation's capital, they figured there was a decent chance that they would not come back alive. And this was just declassified once again in 2012. That's because the F-16 jets that were rushing to get airborne were largely unarmed, recalls one of the pilots. Then Lieutenant Heather Penny, who was one of the pilots, leaving then one option to take out the wayward plane, a kamikaze mission. We wouldn't be shooting it down. We would be ramming the aircraft because we didn't have weapons on board to be able to shoot the plane down, Penny told C-SPAN. In the days before September 11th, there were no armed aircraft standing guard in Washington, D.C., readily available to scramble at the first sign of trouble. And with the Boeing 757 aircraft speeding in the directions of Washington, D.C., Penny and her commanding officer, Colonel Mark Sasseville, couldn't wait the dozens of minutes it was going to take to properly arm the retrospective jets. It was decided that Sass and I would take off first, even though we knew we could end up having to take off before our aircraft were armed, Penny, among the first generation of American female pilots, said to C-SPAN. Penny said each of the jets had 105 lead-nosed bullets on board, but little more. And we were putting out our flight gear. Sass looked at me and said, "I'll ram the cockpit." And I had made that decision that I would take out the tail of the aircraft, Penny recalled. Both pilots thought about whether they would have enough time to eject before the impact. I was hoping to do both at the same time. It probably wasn't going to work, but that's what I was hoping. Penny, a rookie fighter pilot, worried about missing her target. You only get one chance. You don't want to eject and then miss. You've got to be able to stick with it the whole way. So it goes on, and they talk about how they would have done this if it were to happen. Now, like I said before, they did not already know that by the time that they had scrambled, United 93 had already crashed. Now, what's the significance of this on the show is that I, as a flight attendant, posted about this on my Facebook page, and I get this little notification that one of my friends and co-host, Mr. Bruce, decides to share it on another Facebook page and wants to ask these people whether or not there's any truth to this article, because he seems a little skeptical. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, Bruce. Why'd you do that? What's so skeptical about this? What's the issue? It was declassified information. Is there something that I don't know? Is there something that the government is lying to us about? Is this a conspiracy theory? Were there any fighter jets? Did 9/11 even happen? Did Bush do 9/11? Let's hear about it, Bruce.
Cue the debate jingle.
There's
Wow.
too many factors here to unpack in a small show here. But
Okay, well, let's focus on this whole fighter jet issue specifically.
right, there's
let's
a lot.
focus-
So here's
let's-
one of the
let's focus
things
on
that,
this.
that immediately comes to mind is, how is it that jets did not intercept these people as soon as radio communication had ceased when they were hijacked? B, are you telling me there are fighter jets not weaponized all the time?
Absolutely.
As a fighter jet, they should be, and that's an oversight if you ask me. It's absolutely
was.
insane. If they are not armed at all times, and they are a part of the team that would do that sort of thing, it should be armed all the time. Now, so that's a little odd to me, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So that's kind of why. And then, secondly, there isn't a ton of information about it in general. It's also way after the fact, so it's easy to talk about these sorts of things. And then, secondly, this sort of I understand that this is the 15th year anniversary.
Yes.
Which I don't know if we want to say anniversary, 15th year event or whatever, acknowledgement of this happening. So my issue is, it's sort of convenient that these sorts of things come along when there's such controversy over patriotism, over troops and supporting them, and there's an article written. And I had not heard of this before. Now maybe
This was declassified in 2012, just to be clear.
Yeah. Okay. That right. So how come it wasn't a bigger story in 2012? I'm pretty sure I would have recognized that. I think that would have been headline news, if you ask me. Somebody with that amount of valor with
This article that I'm reading, by the way, this article that I'm reading was published on 9/10/2012 and republished
Okay.
on 9.
But I mean, I've never
2016.
been. So I'm a little bit of a skeptic in general about the events of that day. I've never been told that by anyone that is pro-military, super patriotic about the events, etc. And that feel to me, if that's true, and it seems like maybe it is, but if it's true, that would be like the first thing I would bring up in terms of the dedication of our troops in general, especially that being a woman. And so
Sure.
those things are the reason why it's skeptical to me off the bat. That would be huge news.
But this doesn't paint a good light on the United States government. Why would they make this up if they did?
Like I said, the lack of prep ever since something like Pearl Harbor, I would be very surprised that any jet that is available to intercept, and that's part of their duties, would ever be unarmed.
Well, and to be clear, they weren't entirely unarmed. They did have, what did they say here?
Yeah, they
I'm
have
reading-
machine guns, basically.
I'm reading for the article. So they had machine guns on board.
Yeah, it's
To be
just,
clear,
it's just
but
a little.
they didn't have missiles. They didn't have heat seekers. They didn't have.
Yeah. That, I don't know. To me, that especially considering it's, with the amount of money we spend in the military, and we have a large.
But you have to
large
understand, this
GDP,
was a
but-
different time too. This was post Desert Storm, post Cold War.
But
This was when the economy was
our
booming.
budget was just as high for. I mean, it's a huge budget for military.
Sure.
You tell me you're not gonna have payloads and all of these things. Post.
There was
Pearl
payloads
Harbor-
readily available, but it would have taken
Right.
30 minutes to an
Yeah,
hour
I know.
to load
Yeah.
them.
Post Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I would think
We tend to forget,
All
though.
all weapons would be.
We're already forgetting 9/11.
Yeah, but
already
we
putting our guard
forget, but these people that we voted in, voted into the Defense Department. Some of them are voted, some of them are not in the U.S. government, and then the people that are officers, we're not voting them, but they have huge amounts of experience. That is their job to consider that all day, every day. We forgot about it as stupid people that talk about Apple News, but those people they should forget a dang thing. They should remember the hair on the color of the people that they killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how specific. That's what they do. And if they
Sure.
don't do that and are not prepared that way, you're fired. That's what I would say. But
But
again,
there was too many. There
there's
was
so
too
many
many
pieces of
inconsistencies. There
So
was too
anyway,
many
I'm not
inconsistencies.
going to debate whether or not it's true or untrue at this point
Sure.
or whatever. But that's the reason why I was skeptical.
My point is if this is not true, why would the government release this? Because it makes them look bad. It makes them look like they weren't prepared,
Well,
which
I
we
mean,
all
there's-
knew. Which
you're
we
gonna
all knew. That's why there's so many controversies about 9/11. It's because the
because
government
something-
was unprepared. The government did not realize,
Right.
or if they thought this was happening, they brushed it off as just another threat. They
Right.
didn't care.
Yeah, sure.
And they let it slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? So like
Sure.
that's why 9/11 occurred. There were so many warnings. Everybody knows that. That's almost a fact now, that there was enough warnings about the 9/11 attack that and nobody did anything about it. So my point is this just makes the government look worse. But at the same
there's-
time,
there's
it
another
brings
thing that
hope
we don't
that
really
there's
talk about in news for the most part is that agencies do not love each other. So
right.
FBI, CIA, DOD, Department of Homeland Security, Executive Office, Judicial Branch, they don't get along. And there's hit pieces that are not reported as hit pieces, but there are hit pieces from one agency to another often. So in terms of the this makes the government look bad argument, well, there's a few reasons why that would happen. A, the feuds between agencies. B, any news is news for them. If their entire directive is to disinformation and misinformation, that's perfectly plays into their plan. So that anyway, whenever anything comes up about the events of 9/11, I'm immediately skeptical. I know other people are not, but that's just the way I roll with those events. I mean,
I just
I'm
tend
gonna-
to be
I'm going to keep talking about Building 7 until
Sure.
I die.
sure.
That's really odd, and there's so many other things to think about with that. So, I mean, that's basically why I was so skeptical about the stuff.
I tend to be realistic when it comes to, and I'm not saying your claims are not realistic or your thoughts on it are not realistic. Everybody's own personal thoughts are neither here nor there. My point is I tend to be, I guess the right word for it would be simplistic. I want it to be simple. I want it to be black and white, and I want the facts to be the facts. And
well,
for
everyone
me,
wants that, but I mean, I want
Sure.
a gold-plated toilet pill. You know what I
no,
mean?
no, I understand. But my point is I think people tend to overcomplicate things. I think this is not that much of a complicated issue. I think 9/11 in general, and we can get into it all you want.
That was our boxing ring. Yeah,
That's all right. That's all right. But I'm just saying, I think it's overcomplicated. I think what happened. I think the government screwed up. They allowed this to happen. And I don't think it was on purpose. I'm just saying, I think it happened because it happened. So,
if it was, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, not necessarily that I believe this, but to answer one of your questions. If it was something that this conspiracy theory that the government was involved in this, wouldn't a story about a woman being willing to kamikaze the tail end of this plane to bring it down be the best thing to divert all attention away from the government being involved?
That's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, you say it looks bad on them. Well, yeah, but saying, "Hey, yeah, we planned the whole thing," is a little worse.
But you're missing the underlying thing is that they took off. They scrambled fighter jets, which cost money, lots of money. They scrambled fighter jets, not even knowing. First of all, they thought American 11 was still in the air for hours after it slammed into the.
Yeah, but I mean that's one of the big issues. If you lose radio contact, big red flag.
So I understand that, but they didn't, and that's the thing. It still makes them look bad because they didn't scramble. They didn't scramble.
It makes them look bad all the way around. First of all, everything we are uncovering since these events of 9/11 has made the U.S. government look bad. Everything.
Yeah, of course, because it was bad at the time. Nobody did anything right other than Bush going. I think the best thing that the government did was Bush going to the Trade Center the night of, or the day after. I don't remember which one it was, but the night of or the day after, and vowing to find the people who did it, even though they kind of allowed it to happen, in my opinion. But my point is without glorifying that day, all around this whole story, it doesn't do anything other than make these people who serve our country look better and make the government look worse.
Yeah, well, and that's the next point that I would get to with all things related to patriotism. So lots of people are up in arms recently with Kaepernick and nationalism and patriotism and supporting the troops. You know who doesn't support the troops the most? The United States government. That's who F's the troops more than anyone else.
Sure.
Not us, not people at NASCAR that will die for them, that love them and talk about them like they are saviors, which is it's a thankless job, and I think they're great, and I love them for it. But the United States government has done them dirty, and that's look. They get out of the military. They've given crazy amounts of time, energy, and limbs in some cases, or death, and they get horrible VA benefits. They get no decent pension. I mean, all of that stuff should be automatic. If you really support your troops, you support them when they're deployed and when they're home. Take some of that money that we're putting into the government and stop spending it on bombing brown people and give effing veterans another shot. You know what I mean? That's the real culprit in the people that don't support your troops. It's not white, it's not Asian, it's not black, it's not yellow people. It's the established U.S. government that is broken.
I just want to give some facts real quick here to that point, which I'm not disagreeing with you. The Army website broke down the annual compensation of a military police sergeant, which is the most average, level of ranking. So I just want to give you the salary here. Okay, so I'm a flight attendant. I have an important job. I help people get off an aircraft. I am medically trained to an extent. I do a lot of important things, but for the most part, my job entails asking you if you want ice with your drink and traveling the world and getting paid to do it.
The answer is usually no, because you skip me on the beverage.
Right, exactly. But my point is that's the extent of my job for the most part, other than the safety related things. I want to give you this little fact here. The median household average median salary for military personnel is $29,380 with up to $2,000 in benefits a month. So you're looking at roughly $30,000.
And that's for the household. I'm
A
pretty
year.
sure median household income in the United States is 52,000 almost.
It is 52,000.
So they can go
I
scratch.
just looked that up the other day.
that. They can go scratch with that. That's
So-
dirt. That's working at
That's dirt.
McDonald's money.
Exactly. And the reason why I brought up the whole flight attendant thing is because the average flight attendant who has worked more than 15 years, now I'm nowhere near that as a flight attendant, but the average flight attendant who works more than 15 years makes $80,000 to $90,000 a year. $80,000 to $90,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say the average, but
It's
the top
crap.
of the pay scale flight attendants make
It's
80,000 to
crap. And then
90,000.
this is the same. It's kind of beating a dead horse, but they're doing them wrong. And what incentive do they have to do well but love the job? Really, I mean, you get there's a few reasons why people go into the military, I'm sure, and there's more than I could probably think, but I'm sure it has something to do with stability, finding a job, getting benefits, and then there's the serving your country piece and things like that. But I mean, with that sort of lack of incentive, I wouldn't become an officer, or I mean, an enlisted man. I mean, that's insane.
No, I agree.
Anyway, we definitely beat that up, but that's
Yeah, we definitely talked that out. We'll continue this conversation later. Let's move on to Mr. Josh. We got to give you a chance real quick. Take your time, do what you want to do. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your story.
I already
We
gave
did-
my
We
story.
did the tortoise story. I think it's my story that's
Oh,
next.
I'm sorry. Bruce, my bad. Hey, you know what? That's what happens when I listen to a bunch of conspiracy bullshit. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, next. Next.
This is going to get even more heated. So just get it
we
may not
go.
be, we may not disagree on
Drama.
this, but yeah. So here's the deal. A woman, well, a girl, and I'm going to call her a girl because she's a moron. Was putting the clay face on her, for the exfoliating thing. And it's like brown in this case. It's not green. This one was brown. She posted Snapchat and then put it on Twitter, I think, that said, feels good to be a nigga. Right? Which, I mean, excuse me if that offends you,
Wow.
but I'm just reading what they said. Okay, so that's ridiculous. She looks like she's in blackface with somebody else. They're throwing up the West Side sign, which is
Wow.
what is this, 1992? But they're doing that, and she's at Kansas State University. Well, the bigger thing here is they expelled her for this, which is ridiculous. I think. I mean, it's dumb. People know who you are. You're gonna get beat on the street, I would think, by people that think that's ridiculous. White, black, Asian, Latino, and everyone involved should smack you for something stupid like that. But for the university, which I believe this is Kansas State University, which is a public school, and Kansas is right down the road from Josh. It's not far. I mean, I don't know how often he's been to Kansas. They're big states, but to expel someone for something like that is absolutely ridiculous, especially at a state school. So my question to you guys is: should that person be expelled for something they do in their social media that's not illegal? And now, here's the deal: if we're going to make it illegal, like the UK has made what this might be considered as hate speech illegal and jailable offense. We have not done that here in the United States, which I hope we don't, because it can be misconstrued and it can be a mess. You can't say anything then. So, what do you guys think? I mean, this is nuts if you ask me.
It's messy. It's really messy because you're gonna have people that are like, of course they should be expelled. They need to be punished, and then you're gonna have people saying, well, it's not like there's people like Jameis Winston who have done way worse things and still could play on the football team.
Yeah, there's plenty of
at
things
Florida
worse than
State.
that. Yeah.
So it's like there's gonna be some people on opposite ends of the
There's a white
spectrum that are
woman-
gonna.
So
Yeah.
it always looks worse when you're talking about not penalizing someone that's white. So does it seem like they went above and beyond normal procedure to expel this person to make an example? What do you
Like
think?
for the sake of political correctness?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
That's
definitely.
a big thing for universities.
I think so.
I mean, maybe. And then there's another side where I'm like, well, you can't necessarily tell an institution what they can and can't do, but I don't know. This one's messy.
I would not
I
agree
think
with expeller for
expelling, I would say, in my opinion, is too far.
Yeah.
But I think that she's probably seeing a lot worse things, especially because this is probably blowing up and all over the internet. She's
Oh, yeah,
probably
it
seen a
is.
lot worse things than being expelled in her personal life.
It's all over. Yeah, I mean, it's a mess.
It's
So what do you-
insane. I mean,
what
what
do you
about the
think?
guys that are getting released from jail after 2 weeks for raping people in college?
Yeah.
Different college, but yeah.
No,
What do
I'm
you
just
think?
saying.
I mean, what do you think, Josh? I mean, what do you think about that sort of thing?
Well, the whole thing
Spell it
is
out.
like, I mean, if you're gonna make something a rule or a law, like they talk about hate speech, but that's such a convoluted subject matter because there's really no definition where you can say, yeah, this is hate speech and this is not. So it's all up to interpretation, and it's all up to the powers that be to kind of make that call and that decision on what's considered something that's going too far or something that's just like, yeah, that's not good. Let's tone it down a bit or whatever. Obviously stupid on her part. And I hate to say I hope she gets beat, but I kind of hope she does. But as far as getting expelled for it, man, it just
That's a big deal. I mean, that
it-
affects your transcripts, that affects your
That's
future,
huge
your
issue.
career.
And that goes-
that's a big deal.
that does go back to I can't remember the dude's name, but the guy that raped that girl and then basically got
Don't
off
even
because
say his name. It's not worth it. It's not worth.
right, not
doing
worth the
any-
time.
any-
However,
yeah.
he got off on it because they said it would basically destroy his life. Good, So this girl who's insensitive, racist is all get out. There's so many people who've done so much worse who still got away scot clean. Unfortunate for her, but I think in the tide of the way the world is working these days, United States is these are hot button issues, and I do think they're trying to backtrack a little bit and trying to show some some face, I guess. But it's still not justice. It's just they want to look good is all it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. That's how I see it as well. So I just thought it was an interesting turn of events, and definitely story worthy at this place.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it's akin to the university that did all that good deeds for the Chewbacca mom. Like it's like a publicity thing.
Yeah, like a Kansas State. Hey, we don't stand for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
we're gonna be the school that we're gonna be the school that got rid of that girl.
I would assume that this is going to some sort of judicial hearing to fight that. I would hope their parents would do that, or at least she would, because that's too far.
That's pretty insane. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, well, that's about it. I mean, that's all I had for the stories. Not a fun one, but that's that's the way it goes sometimes.
That's all right. We can still be friends.
Yeah.
Mr. Justin, there's this little thing called Tip It Out, and I want to hear a little bit more about it.
Tip it out. Yeah. I almost forgot about tip it out.
Tip it out, tip it out, tip it out, tip it out.
Tip it. This is where we just take a little moment to kind of talk about ways that people can get involved alongside of us on the podcast and our website and the whole project that we're doing. This is something we want to be ever expanding, ever growing. And to do that, we need people to be contributing in similar ways that we are. So we enjoy tips in multiple forms. The one that comes to mind immediately, of course, for everybody is like a monetary tip. Like when you're going to, where are you going to? Pita Pit? Where do people go these days? And they're satisfied with the product. They eat their pita.
Chipotle, maybe. Chipotle.
Chipotle was my first.
Yeah.
So Tyler's at Chipotle and he's like, man, this is some good stuff. I'm going to throw a couple dollars in the jar. He tipped it out to Chipotle. Well, we always appreciate people who decide that they would like to contribute to what our product are, our proverbial burrito or pita, if you will. And that can be done right on our website at talkitoutpod.net. We have a Patreon set up where you can join our contribution team and contribute on a monthly basis if you would like to, or a one-time thing, that's fine. You can also contribute by just chatting with us. Hey, hit us up on the socials. You know what I mean? So Facebook, we got Twitter. We even have an Instagram. We don't use the Instagram much, but we even have an Instagram. Come hang out with us. You can find us at Talk It Out Pod.
Sweet.
like it.
Talkitoutpod.net is another way to find us on the internets.
Interwebs, internets, talkitoutpod.net. For all you sports fans out there, the Philadelphia Eagles have defeated the disgusting Chicago Bears 29-14. Final score.
I knew I couldn't count on the Bears to do anything.
Never count on. Actually, Jay Cutler got hurt.
That might
He
explain part of
suffered an injury throwing on his throwing hand. The quarterback will not return until now. So Brian Hoyer stepped in, which actually probably gave the Bears a better chance. And just Jay
Well, there you
Cutler.
go. That's your sports on the sevens.
Your
Yeah,
sports
and
on the sevens,
interesting-
and now your weather on the nines.
To bring an interesting fact along with that, I'm looking at the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Anyone even know who he is?
Wentz,
Carson Wentz.
new guy.
He is the 5th rookie quarterback since the merger to start and win his first 2 games of the season.
Nice job, Wentz.
So he joined some not so elite company actually with
Right.
that.
Right. He was
Sounds like,
second overall pick, I think.
Yeah. So one of them is John Elway, obviously a legend. And can you guys guess any of the other ones? Just off the top of your head, throw them out there.
Brett Favre.
Nope.
No.
Michael Jordan.
Brady, maybe.
No. Crazy. So one of them
Aaron
is
Rodgers.
no. One of them is
Bart
Mr.
Starr.
Only one of them has won a Super Bowl.
LeBron James.
Really, only one of them, of the remaining ones, has even maybe won a game. Joe
Tim
Flacco.
Tebow.
Oh.
One of them is maybe the biggest disappointment in NFL history, Ryan
Rob.
Leaf,
Brian Leaf. Oh, yeah.
and then the other is Mr. Butt Fumble himself, Mr. Sanchez.
Nice, Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah,
Dirty
those are
Sanchez.
the 5 quarterbacks that have won their first 2 games of rookie season.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't really mean anything other than John Elway. So they,
It surely doesn't. That's what I thought was funny about
I
that.
give Flacco. Yeah.
Thanks for that useless fact. I'm kidding.
I'll give
try to
Flacco
redeem
some
your,
credit.
like sudden. You're like, oh, by the way, this team won the football game, even though probably people are listening like a couple days later.
Yeah.
So-
You guys, we have pretty much talked it out, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, is there
I
anything
think
you
we
guys
talked
want to
right out.
get off your chest before we move on?
I know this has been pretty heated, but Bruce, didn't you have something you wanted to share having to do with like Hillary Clinton?
Yeah. Clinton. So, all right. So what's
He said, "Yeah, I was going to
so
share it, but then I passed out. I was going to share
I
it,
said
but
that
I
I hated
passed out."
America and I called them Nazis,
I
and
just,
so I don't know if I wanted.
Do you think she left the 9/11 thing because she really had to pass out, or do you think she's dying? I mean,
I think she's dying.
that's the next conspiracy, is that she's dying.
Okay. So we all know about the email scandal, and
Right.
I just ate a chicharron because
Oh God!
While he's
Whoa.
eating, can we? I don't think it's maybe a conspiracy that she's dying. Like she's 68 and has pneumonia.
yeah, it's bad.
She could die.
That's a big deal when
She
you're that
could
old.
die.
If you're Bill Clinton, he's like, yeah, she had pneumonia.
By the way,
Not
for
a
any
big
Secret
deal.
Service or government agencies listening, we are not threatening Hillary Clinton's life, nor do we care if she
Yeah,
dies.
nobody go in
It's
any
bad.
hot tubs.
Seriously, I just
Or
want to make it very, very clear. If anybody's
Camerons.
listening to this, we have
Okay,
nothing
so-
to do.
The Hillary scandal, basically, so the email scandal, right? One of her IT techs, Paul Combetta, asked Reddit a while ago, how do you cover up emails, basically? So what he said was, hey, guys, I have archived Exchange email here, a couple of files, PST files and some Exchange files. How can I remove an email address from all the emails and replace it with a dummy address?
That's disgusting.
No way.
That's what he asked them, and that's what he said. Yeah.
Did he go in like incognito under a surname and then got
They
discovered?
figured out it was him somehow. Yeah.
Well, he asked a bunch of IT people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you guys happen to know how I can cover something up? And they're like, we just uncovered you, son.
That's like the stupidest thing to ask. I don't even. That's like going to the police station saying, "Hey guys, you know where I could score some weed?" Not for me though.
Absolutely
Not for me,
ridiculous.
So that's what happened with that. And I mean, it's insane. And people, there's so many, anti-Trump folks that they're going for Hillary. But I mean, if that is at all validated,
I'm Johnson all the way. He's got the
You
best
can't-
chance of at least.
yeah, you
A
can't vote
protest
for her in
vote.
good conscience if that's true, man. At all, you know what I mean?
This is insane, man. This whole election. I don't even want to get into it, but it's scary, dude.
Anyway, I'm a big Reddit fan, so don't f around with Reddit, okay?
Don't mess with Reddit. The lesson here. It's not politics. It's not Hillary Clinton. It's don't mess with Reddit.
It's true.
That's one sponsor we get to keep.
Yeah, we got to keep Reddit. That's a
All the
sponsor.
Yeah,
rest
after-
after because of Bruce.
After Bruce said the N word,
Yeah, we're gonna get that front office. Like,
we're all gonna lose our jobs.
they're gonna be like, hey, Bruce, we really love what you're doing, but could you ease up on slamming all the sponsors? We need some food here, and
Who's our boss? Who's our network manager? Oh wait, he's on the podcast. Suckers.
We'll have a talk after this. Like, look,
Yeah.
the people don't like that.
well, it's been
Okay.
real.
Children.
Yeah, I got to get going here pretty soon, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for a great show, everybody. And if you did pop in, we had a few people pop in during the show. We thank you so much for your contribution. We want more people to pop in because the whole premise of the show is supposed to be interactive. We
Full
wanna
of
hear from
poppin'.
you. We want to hear you. We want you to pop in. So if you're
Want-
just now listening
We
to
want
us
you
for the
to
first
pop it
time,
and lock it.
absolutely. This is the Talk It Out podcast. We want you to hear it more live and interactive if you can. And if not, that's all right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Today is Monday, September 19th, and it's currently 9:03, actually just about to be 9:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's been real. My name is Tyler, broadcasting live from Scottsdale, Arizona. Talk It Out podcast. Thank you
This
very
is-
much.
Bruce, who's eating chicharrones in Seattle.
This is Justin right next to Bruce's tulips.
This is Josh enjoying a Francis Skinner Weissbier.
Nice.
I wish I was eating like hot Cheetos and Takis or something, but I'm not. So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. TalkItOutPod.net. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. That's where we want you to find us. And yeah, thanks so much for listening in. We're glad you're here, and have a great night. Let's fade it out with some cool local music. You got any local music, Bruce?
Yeah, sure.
What we got here?
This is my music.
Oh, Bruce's band.
Nice.
Here we go. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Woohoo!
Got